The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the complete. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
When you tell a driver they've got a mountain to climb, it's usually metaphorical. But when you arrive in Bathurst, it's quite literal. Mount Panorama Circuit is a slog up and down an incredible 570 feet. And despite the renowned difficulty of the Lotus 49, today's race is typically one of the most popular of the season. We'll see if it once again brings out the who's who as we get ready to watch round 9 of the Lotus 49 Golden Anniversary World Cup. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Chad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sean, much like last week, we've taken a car with a take-no-prisoners reputation to a track that is equally as punishing. Tell us about Bathurst.
Joe, Mount Panorama is, for all intents and purposes, a street circuit. Large sections of this course are lined by temporary concrete walls that transforms public roads and house driveways to an unforgiving 4-mile racetrack. In fact, if you need a glass of milk somewhere along the way, you can probably pull off and get one from a neighbor. The V8 supercars are probably most well known for calling this place home, but thanks to the iRacing service, well, you could find all types of cars and trucks running on this virtual version of this 23-turn track. And if the name didn't make it obvious, one of the distinguishing aspects of this place is its elevation changes. Up and down the mountain, you'll be dealing with rises and dips all over the place. The biggest worry for the drivers early on will be track blockage at the top of the mountain. After that, the fastest drivers will be those that dare to race closest to the race-ending track boundaries. But to really give you a feel for just how scary this place is, let's hop on board the GSRC Lotus 49 for a trip around the mountain.
All right, we're in the GSRC Lotus 49, so let's do a lap around Bathurst. Coming down to Hell Corner, it's incredibly critical that you don't outbrake yourself into this bend. Being able to get to the power early out of that first turn will affect your lap time greatly as you climb up the mountain straight. Not to mention, a good exit will help protect you from an attack. Now, over the hill, the car tends to pull left if you shift into fifth. let it bounce off the limiter and shift up after the hump. After that, you'll be braking uphill into Griffin's Bend, so get the car to the left and put out the anchors. Being smooth to the power will pay off since you'll be turning and accelerating out of here. Something easier said than done. Switch sides quickly, and as we come up to the cutting, remember that not being able to brake in a straight line will mean you've got to lift to ease into this double apex corner. Try to really line the car up for the exit. The line through quarry isn't quite flat out, but swing wide because you'll need the entire track over the rise into Reed Park. From here, treat all those little kinks in the track as one long arc. You'll be feathering the throttle through Frog Hollow and eventually Salmon Park. Just as you come over the rise, tap the brakes and turn in early to get the car to grip through McPhillamy Park. Get on the power briefly, bring the car to the left, and then try your best to brake as the car gets light over Skyline. You'll be slowing and steering your way through these steep downhill S's, hopefully managing to line your car up for the dipper. From there, you'll get another little squirt of the gas across the top of the mountain before you find yourself braking for the frustrating Forest Elbow. The drop tends to make it hard to slow the car up. Just like Hell Corner, the best traction acceleration is what you're really aiming for. We're now on the opposite side from before, blasting down the Conrad Straight, but the Lotus is so fast and powerful that staying on the throttle can sometimes send the car out of sorts over the big crest. Letting off the 80% throttle doesn't really lose you any time and keeps the car safe. Then comes the infamous chase. Tap the brakes, turn it in, then bring the car to the right as you really stop the binders. This is easily going to be one of the most popular overtaking spots. The track rises, making it tough to get back to the power quickly. Once you've got it fully down though, you're heading towards Murray's Corner. The 49 can take that inside curve better than most cars, but for the ideal run, try not to clobber it. Hopefully you kept it all together and have now finished a lap around Bathurst. There's a lap up and down the mountain. Let's take a lap around the points championship, though, and see how that stands. Currently up at the top, it is still Ove Trangrade, only 2 points separating himself and Michel Dudignan now. That is definitely going to change today because Michel is here, but Ove is not. He may finally lose his championship lead. Billy Bob Wright, surprisingly, still very much in the hunt, only 11 points back. If something happens to Michel, Billy Bob Wright could get himself in contention for this championship. Of course, AJ Bear back there, 21 points back, and then 31 points back is Bruce Nelson. And of course, with the points available, 36 of them total here for the 4 races remaining, that means we've got 8 drivers still mathematically able to try and compete for the championship. That will get slimmer and slimmer as the races tick down. Of course, only 9 points available today for a win. Now, Sean, one thing that is unique about this track that is shared a little bit with the Nürburgring is seems to bring out the specialists every time we come here. One of which that always shows up is Josh Anderson, and he's here again today. Yeah, and a bit of a hometown track there for Josh Anderson. Probably, obviously, being an Australian, he is comfortable here. Well, we'll see what he can do today. Right there on track qualifying now, heading under the Jim Beam banner. And we'll see what kind of lap he can lay down here. Maybe this is your possible winner today. A name that you hadn't seen in a while, Rupe Turkala, just coming on the pole there, getting his first lap in, a 1:59.2. And yeah, it's going to be kind of a mixed bag today, but looking forward to seeing some of these guys that, well, we haven't seen in a while, Joe. Mixed bag certainly tends to describe the qualifying order that you get around here. So because of the margin you need to leave just to get around without wrecking the car. Right now, Dudignan, no surprise, is up at the top, and that just shows you what it takes to be fast around here. 1.3 seconds between first and second right now. Frenchman obviously has quite a bit in hand, although we've got a number of drivers that haven't completed their first lap, including Josh Anderson. We expect him to be up near the top. And I see Mick Claridge connected, but I don't see him on track yet, Joe. I hope he can. We're hearing that he's not going to race, so that'll be disappointing that yet again he's not going to get to perform on a Saturday. You know,
And that's strange because he got an awful lot of practice in. I wonder exactly what happened that didn't allow him to get in here.
Oh, he's spectating today, and he's telling us in the chat that it was another error 22. Oh, my goodness.
Jeez. Yeah, I'm just now seeing that too.
Ugh.
He's just got to be gutted right now. I know he put in a lot of, I spent most of the morning practicing with him, Joe, and that's just got to be crushing.
Definitely. Now, those familiar with this series wondering how Michelle is still behind Ove in the points. Well, Michelle's only showed up for 5 starts so far this season. However, we should point out he has won 4 of those 5 starts. Very much contrasting season with Mick Claridge there has Michelle had. So we watch Brett Rial try and get his second lap in. He's currently sitting in 9th at a 2:01.5 as he comes across the line. Let's see if he is able to improve. It looks like the answer is a no. 9th is the best that he's going to do. In fact, he gets slotted down to 10th as more drivers are able to get up there, including Josh Anderson, who's up to 2nd.
Yes. Yeah, that second lap was a lot better, buddy. As a 1:58.2. He's still just under a second, though, back from Dugnan.
Oh, this could be an easy romp for Michelle if we're going to go by the qualifying. You just don't know, as easy mistakes can't end this race. We're watching Michael Sullivan try and get his first lap in as he weaves his way down through the dipper.
Joe, you know better than that. There's nothing easy about this place.
Yeah, absolutely. And AJ Bear, another Australian, racing at a home track. He's gotten himself up to 5th. Nice effort from him. He's taken 1 win this season. In fact, 4 different drivers have taken wins out there. It's been a nice mix. A few pleasant surprises, some feel-good stories so far this season.
I think Ove Trengerade has checked in and, well, apparently there's traffic where he lives too, Joe. Couldn't make it in time.
Disappointment all around that's what's affected the championship. So, with the qualifying over, let's go through our grid. Michelle Dudagnan on the pole by a significant margin over Josh Anderson, who is typically shown up and shown well here at Bathurst. Rupert Turkala is starting in 3rd with the 2nd row completing with Billy Bob Wright. AJ Bear will start in 5th with Benjamin Zocco starting in the 6th position. 7th will be Jack Ulstead. Gary Teal starts in 8th and Bruce Nelson in 9th. Row 5 is finished off with Brett Rial.
All right, row 6 going to be Neil Kemp and Hideki Koivitso. Row 7, Richard Morin and Andrew Eng. Row 8, Raymond Smith and Don Tell Me Something Good this morning. In row 9, it's going to be Michael Sullivan and Marcelo Aiello. And then in 19th spot at the end of our field, it's going to be David Beattie from Australia.
Cars are lining up on the grid. Once they're all there, then we will get going today for 15 laps around the mountain. We'll see who's able to survive. Usually, this track tends to have a high attrition rate, and you can expect that to produce some surprises in the midfield, including actually up at the top sometimes, as even fast drivers can make mistakes and throw it away. And there you see them lining up there, that little bit of a crest up to the start-finish line, and it's a short run down, though, to the first corner up to Hell.
Yeah, definitely a place that we'll maybe see some passing opportunities there in Hell Corner, also in Griffin's. Murray's Corner, which is the last turn there, turn 23, just behind this grid.
And the lights are up, engines are revving. Green flag is out. Josh Anderson and Michelle Dudagnan with decent starts. Rupert Turkala closing up. Most of them seem to be able to make it through that first corner just fine, and now they're streaming up the mountain straight. Neil Kemp had a bad exit out of Hell Corner, though, and he is losing ground hand over fist. But up at the front, Michelle Dudagnan looking very safe over Anderson. Anderson with a big bobble into Griffin's, puts him back into the grips of Turkula. Now that they hit the cutting, they're still all single file. Everybody looking to play it safe here up the mountain on the first lap, Sean.
Yeah, so far so good here at the back of the field. We had one car get into the wall. I think it was Michael Sullivan. He's back under power. They've pretty much gone line of stern here at this point, Joe.
And our leaders, Josh Anderson, dipped 2 wheels into the grass, it looked like, coming up through, I think it was Sullivan. And that cost him a little time on Michelle. An uncharacteristic start for Josh. Looking at the track temperatures, only 75 degrees on the track, 70 degrees air temperature, so very grippy conditions. It's unusual to see him sliding around like this. When Andrew Ang seems to have had a problem, and that is down into Forest Elbow.
It certainly was. Looks like maybe just a slight problem with the brakes there, and clips the wall here on the left. You'll see as it gets down to the elbow. Watch on the left-hand side.
And then once that happens, let's switch to David Beatty, who has a similar problem. Oh, there, yeah, he collects it inside. There's David coming around. Must have been thrown off by that incident. He hits the outside wall, and then the inside to boot. So 2 drivers falling victim to the mountain on the first lap. Josh has collected himself and is now back to within 4/10 of our leader and giving him a hassle.
Boy, Neil Kemp had a scary moment coming out of Murray's, and it happened right in front of Richard Morin. Both cars continue on, though, Joe.
Kemp apparently struggling a bit and needing to get himself together after this first lap. We've seen 2 mistakes then for the 13th place driver. He's trying to chase down Richard Morin just ahead of him, who recently took that spot away coming out of hell. And then behind him, Don Good also giving chase in his Scarlet Red Lotus 49. Wow, Anderson is starting to get all over the back of Dudagnon's gearbox. They come through McPhillamy. I think we might have a race on our hands. Oh, but he swings wide. Commentators curse striking very quickly today, as he is going to get a slowdown penalty. And look at all the time this is costing him. Can he lose a position? Turkula takes him for second. Billy Bob Wright goes by. AJ Bear goes by.
Drop him 3 right there, Joe. 4 positions.
Zoko takes him as well. That hurt severely for the number 2 of Josh Anderson. That slots him down into 6th. Turkula in a battle with Billy Bob Wright, but Wright runs out of track, almost swings off into the grass through the chase, gets it woed up in time, and is going to have to wait for another corner.
Billy Bob with a good start, keeping the car on the track here.
Ooh, swings wide coming through Murray's corner, and that loses him. Oh, excuse me, no, that was Andrew Ang that swung wide, I think. No, excuse me, Benjamin Zoko. So Turkula gets himself a little bit of breathing space as they come up the mountain straight. One thing I don't think a lot of people realize is that these cars get a little bit of air over that hop coming up to Griffin, Sean.
They do. In fact, got to be careful there. You've got to watch that. A little bit of throttle management involved with that, Joe.
We ride on board with AJ Bear, who's climbing over the back of Billy Bob Wright. They come up through Quarry, now into Frog Hollow.
Ooh, Anderson just behind here. Anderson making a run here at Zoko. Zoko, he gets around Zoko. Zoko almost loses the car under him.
Was that Zoko losing it, or was that Zoko pulling aside? That almost looked like he was intentionally letting him through.
Well, just before that, he had gotten really loose. The car made a big wiggle, and then he moved aside. Maybe he was just trying to be careful there. Now Anderson is all over the back of AJ Bear.
Yeah, and that car squirming under braking, trying to stay out of AJ. They hit the con rod straight plunging downhill. Car also can get a little bit light over this crest. The grippy conditions, though, I think should allow them to go flat out, I'm assuming. And all this fighting has meant that Michel Dudignon has a lead of about 3 seconds over Turkula. And then Turkula with another 2 seconds over Billy Bob Wright, who's more concerned about the car behind. Defending over AJ Baird, he moves back to the line. Baird gets into him. He spins, and Wright goes off into the barriers. That hands 2 places to Josh Anderson, who continued his climb back up. Let's watch this replay.
Yeah, here it is on the replay. There is Bear.
Wright started defensive, and then I think Bear did not expect him to move back to the line on him.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? You're right, Joe. I don't think he maybe expected him. I see Bear apologize, but that's real close. Before
he even spun, he moved his tires into the grass trying to stay out of him. So, bit of a racing incident. Although, from personal experience, I don't think I would have moved over in the braking zone like that.
Right. Gary Teal trying to hold off Billy Bob here.
But we're looking at AJ Bear in the cutting. In a horrible place, actually. I think he's trying to get the car going and waiting patiently. Thankfully, everybody has got a heads up and trying to stay out of him.
Yeah, a lot of cars coming through right there. He does a good job. He does get the car going again.
So does Billy Bob Wright. However, he gets down to 6th position after his contact with the barriers, and he's fighting with Gary Teal, an old head in this series, who's returned this season. In fact, Wright might be able to make short work of him as he gets a great run coming off of Forest Elbow. He's going to be able to get within the slipstream. Moves off to the side. And is this going to be a slam dunk? Teal's not going to give it up.
Side by side in a kink.
He's not brave enough to take that one too wide through there.
Good job by Billy Bob getting by.
Motes him back up into 5th. You can see that brings Ulstead up into them. We haven't talked about him at all this race. Nice run for mid-packer Jack Ulstead. Could threaten for a top 5 depending on if he's got the pace for these two.
Boy, Bruce Nelson sure tried to put the move on Hideki Koivitso going into Murray's corner. Hideki shut the door on him.
This is a nice pack back here as well.
Yeah, it really is. You've got Richard Moore and Neil Kemp and Don Good all involved in this.
Snelson's closing on him, coming up to Griffin's Bend. He's going to look to the inside of Koivisto. Koivisto early on the brakes and tries to find the apex, but doesn't turn in time, and that is easily going to give it over to Snelson.
Big move there by Snelson. That gets him back into position there, back into 9th.
Drivers behind not able to take advantage of their battling. Morin stays behind in 11th. Kemp in 12th. Oh, big mistake, though, from Morin. Coming up over the crest of Frog Hollow. That's going to give an opportunity to Kemp, but up at the top of the mountain, it's oh so hard to take advantage of those things. As we ride on board with Kemp, watching just over his shoulder, you can get a sense of just how narrow it is coming down here. We understand that someone got a piece of the wall. I'm trying to figure out who it was. Oh, when we were on board Kemp, apparently he'd clipped the wall a little bit. I missed that.
Yeah, I missed that too, Joe. I was trying to find it. I couldn't get back to it.
Kemp's able to hold off Don Good. They work their way through the chase and now towards Murray's, and they're going to stay in order. Ahead of them, Snelson running away. But second place looks like it's going to be a bit of a fight because Anderson is now caught up to Turkula. And poor Jack Olstead has not put enough fuel in and is going to have to pit Anderson with a big slide, though, through the cutting. Wonder if maybe Anderson set up this car for different conditions, Sean.
It's possible. And I will say that the practice right before this one wasn't much different as far as temperatures go. It was a grippy track. Oh, ooh, hang on. Who was that in the middle of the track there?
Marcelo Aiello going slowly. I'm checking to see what happened to him. Oh, he had a mistake up in a McPhillamy maybe about 50 seconds ago or so.
Man, Anderson is all over him now. That really brought him together. Here we go, Joe.
Doesn't stay in the slipstream wrong. He's a little bit too close to him. Has to pull off to the side. What are they going to do up into the chase? The game of chicken goes to Josh Anderson, who pulls ahead, finally back into second after 5 laps. A mistake on lap 2 has meant that he is now 5.3 seconds behind Michel Dudignon once he eventually recovers from the damage. Now it'll be interesting to see if Josh is actually fast enough to run him down. He's got enough race left, Sean.
Oh yeah, there's plenty to go now, just about to the halfway point. But in the meantime, Michel Dudignon is allowed to check out and continues to check out, Joe, even though Anderson was faster that last time around. It was only by about 0.2, and again, Dudignon just able to check out at this point. He's got clear track in front of him, and nobody really threatening him here at this point. He's just focused on the track, keeping it within the limits, Joe.
Turkola's given him a good run for his money. Now he's not climbing all over him, but Rupe is holding with him over the top of the mountain here, and that's a good sign because that's usually where drivers tend to lose time. Turkola now just about 0.8 back. Oh, another big slide. I think Josh is pushing hard to make up that time.
I would agree with that. He's definitely pushing hard. Gotta be careful here.
Turkola really was taking it right up to the edge of the wall coming out of Forrest's elbow. Pushing the limits as well. And you know, we always talk about needing more fins. Well, I'm sure his name doesn't bring it to mind, but we should mention that Turkola is part of the Club Finland.
He is, absolutely, right there with Koivisto. And, the only 2 Finns in the field today, actually.
So we could see a Finn on the podium here in the Lotus 49 Series if Turkola can just bring it home. Once again, holding on to Josh very well. That 0.8 has not gotten any bigger since the top of the mountain. Look at him go. Farther back in the field, there's a nice little fight going on for 11th. We were watching that earlier between Morin and Kemp. Yeah, coming up the front stretch, the pit straight into Hell Corner. Let's see if Neil can get a good run, and he does. This is going to put him within the draft of Richard Morin. Morin knows it. Morin lifts. He lets him through.
Oh, another battle here. Gary Teal close to being overtaken here by Jack Olstad. Olstad almost got him there in the cutting. Now Teal starting to pull away as they get towards the top of the mountain here.
Through McPhillamy Park. They've each got their own little bit of racing room. Now over Skyline, where the elevation really comes away from you. Through the Dipper. Teal nice and tidy through those S's. and in fact much faster than Jack Ulstead. This is a great illustration of what I talked about before, Sean, about the mountain making the difference.
Yeah, and Ulstead back there almost clipped the inside wall. So he had to really get out of it, maybe even apply a little bit more brake than he needed to just to avoid that. Teal able to pull away here down the straight.
And that's going to solidify that 6th place for Gary Teal. 7 laps to go. We really are halfway through now. That gap between Anderson and Dudignon has not come down. It's still 5.5 seconds between them. And Ulsted's fuel has finally come to an end.
Yeah, that's a shame. The question was thrown out there in practice about how much race fuel would be needed. I don't know if Jack didn't get the memo or what, or he just forgot.
The simple answer is more than that. Californian up early today. It's 5:30 in the morning. Excuse me, 6 a.m. now, where he is.
Hey, you're really splitting hairs there, aren't you, Joe? 5:30, 6 a.m. It's all relative.
Oh, I'm
man.
very aware. It doesn't make much difference. I'm on mountain time, so it's early for me as well. Tell you what, our battles are starting to spread out. The closest one now is between Morin and Bear. That's about a second apart for 11th spot.
Yeah, and of course, Bear, trouble today on the mountain for him. He's down 6 spots. Not used to seeing that from AJ Bear. Still fighting, though. I mean, he's got a chance to catch Neil Kemp. Neil's only 2 seconds, just under 2 seconds ahead of him. There could be another position ahead.
Much like the Nürburgring, a lot of drivers, of course, Sean, just racing the track, not necessarily each other, more worried about what they're doing.
Yeah, you know what? Got a good tip from Jack Ulstead last night, actually, and that was focus on the lines, the white lines, and not so much the walls, and you'll stand a much better chance of staying out of the walls. Tried that.
Remember that one.
I tried that actually for a few laps, and you know what? Not a bad idea.
You can see Ulstead has returned, but despite the splash and dash, it still slots him down to the last car on track in 15th. If you're just joining us, this is round 9 of the Lotus 49 Golden Anniversary World Cup, and we've had 4 DNFs. Michael Sullivan, Marcelo Aiello, Andrew Ng, and David Beattie have left the track. Here we see first place, Michel Dudignon, leading the race 5.5 seconds over Josh Anderson. Anderson started in second, looked like he was going to give Michel a little bit of a hassle, but he had a cut course penalty coming over Skyline. Oh, and Billy Bob Wright. What happened to him here? Let's look at the replay. That was coming up towards Griffin's Bend. Oh, blew an engine on downshifts.
Uh-oh. Yeah, that's never good, buddy.
I'll watch on board and take a listen here. Yep, just a big pop. I've had that happen in races before, and it's just a helpless feeling, Sean.
Hey, and you know, sometimes you just forget what gear you're in. You may have already made that shift, or you know, it could be hardware failure too, man. Sometimes those gear changes don't always work like they're supposed to. Oh, Hideki Koivitso was being chased by Neil Kemp, and Neil made a huge mistake. Poor Neil.
To see firsthand here just what mistakes can mean. That car is crabbing as we get ready to watch the replay. Just one small correction from a slide here.
Yep, that's all it took, and man, he hits that wall really hard.
Yeah, you really see how he had no time for recovery at all. He's going to try and drive it back down. Oh, no, he's giving it up now. He's going to take a tow. Car is too damaged.
Koivitso just lets AJ Bear go by, and is it possible that Hideki gotten a slowdown penalty? I don't know where he would have gotten it other than out of Forest Elbow. How do you get a slowdown penalty out of there, I don't know, but he just moved over for him. Let him go.
It could have been that he got it up at the top of the mountain. He didn't want to try and hand it over there, I'm guessing.
Maybe, you know what? That's a good point, and that's very well where he may have picked it up. He had to give it back at some point, and that might have been it. But that was a good battle, too. Now it's been broken up by whatever that was that caused Hideki to pull over. I can't imagine he wanted to let him go by. You know what I mean?
Most likely.
Yeah.
As much as Hideki is a kind of a finish the race kind of guy, I agree. I don't see him giving it up that easily, especially when the car was that far back.
That and he's a Finn. When was the last time you saw Finn give anything away?
Exactly.
Right?
Now, I'm pretty sure about 2 minutes ago, Sean, I said we had 4 DNFs.
Yeah.
And it's lo and behold, we're now up to 6 in a flash. Whoa, and Don Good almost making it 7. He brushes the wall. Hopefully he doesn't damage the suspension in that. That was up into the cutting. He's continuing on. So a narrow escape for the Club West driver of Don Good.
Joe, quiet race from Brett Reale. He's up 4 spots into 6th into a points paying position here.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's going to take those, knowing how hard they can be to come by sometimes, especially with 19 starters, which is a rather large field for the Lotus 49 series.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know that he'll be caught with only about 4 laps left to go. 4 laps left to go, period. Snelson's 11.5 seconds back? That's going to be a tough call. Brett looking pretty good here. He's just got to hang on to it. You know, Gary Teal is possible. Gary's only 5.5 seconds up the road in front of him. Who knows here? Maybe a little bit more in store for Brett.
Now, Marcelo Aiello has returned to the track after repairing his damage. If we could get about 30 seconds ago from the view of Josh Anderson, he had to lap Marcelo, had a bit of a scare, and in fact, it cost him about half a second. You're going to see him closing up as they climb the hill, and this will happen coming out of the cutting, Sean, where he's got to try and find his way past.
Yeah, well, nothing about the cutting is easy to begin with, and add in a slower car, and it can make things very tense.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Great job by Josh not getting into the gearbox of that lapped car. But that 5.5 second gap is now 6.4, sadly. Richard Morin, has he had some problems?
He has, Joe, and boy, it was a braking problem, a big one.
Coming up
heading into the cutting,
again.
yeah.
Oh, just, you're going to see him lose it under braking going in, and when that nose clips the concrete, it grabs and spins him around.
Boy, and it's a very precarious position to be in there with traffic coming through.
I tell you what, how about Don Good? From that, he picks up another position, gets into the top 10. He started in 16th. This is a great, smooth run from Tell Me Something Good.
Really is, Joe. Like what I'm seeing out of him today. He got some good practice in early this morning, and it's paying off for him right now.
He is about 11 seconds behind from Koivisto himself, so unlikely to pick up another position unless more cars have problems, which, as we've seen, can happen in a flash today. Now, we haven't given a lot of love to Benjamin Zoko, who sits just off the podium. We've seen him in a battle early on as he was having to let Josh Anderson by when we're not sure if he made a mistake or just pulled over coming through Sullivan Park. He's still held on to that 4th. He's about 13.5 seconds back from Turkle, and Josh Anderson has a big problem.
Oh, boy.
Turkle coming up on him in a hurry. We're going to watch the replay in a bit, but that's a position lost for the local. This is coming over Skyline.
Yeah, dropping into the S's there. It looks like that's where he has the problem, Joe.
Car just starts to get away from under him, grips weird, and he slams into the wall. Now, he hit both suspension front and back very hard. We're going to watch it one more time. It's the other side that hits.
You see, I can relate to getting around this track, or I can't relate to getting around this track fast like these pros do. I can relate to crashing it just like that.
And I think that damage has hurt his car and his handling. Oh, and he blows an engine. Josh Anderson now out of this race. That'll promote Turkula to second and Zoko onto the podium. A very uncharacteristic performance from local racer Josh Anderson. And he even gets on the chat and admits that just a lot of mistakes were made by him today.
I do appreciate the way he incorporated the word continuum, Joe.
Very intelligent as well, apparently.
Highly underrated TV show, by the way.
I've actually never heard of that, so we'll have to talk about that later.
It's no longer with us, yeah.
Okay. Well, this promotes a number of drivers, of course. As you can see, Gary Teal going to be up into 4th. Brett Rial now into 5th. And Bruce Snelson looks like he might be able to come away with a point today with only 2 laps left.
Yep, he's just got to keep it on the track and hope that AJ Bear doesn't make a run at him here late.
Yeah, AJ still recovering from his contact earlier with Billy Bob Wright. He sits in 7th.
Boy, Zoko had a close one. Oh, Aiello stopped in the middle of the track. Gary Teal gets into him. Zoko almost hit him trying to get through there, and then Teal had nowhere to go. You're going to see Zoko parked in the middle of the track right here. Not Zoko, but Aiello parked in the middle of the track, and then Teal, poor Gary, had nowhere to go there. Didn't even know he was there.
These concrete walls make the visibility so difficult for the driver. We talk about blind corners on a lot of tracks. Well, once you hit Griffin's Bend, almost every corner is blind on this track. Teal did a good job getting the car wound up and limiting the damage. Don't think he hurt his suspension, so he should be able to limp it around and hold on to that 4th. Car that has been holding on the lead and took the white flag is Michel Dudignon. Up at the front, now 17 seconds ahead.
I don't know if that's his biggest margin of victory this season, Joe, but man, here on the mountain, that is a bit of an eternity, isn't it?
That's a good chunk of a lap, that's for sure. And yeah, I think he's run away with larger margins this season, or even in previous seasons. Even still, this is the Michel we're used to seeing. And with this being his 6th start of the season, that'll make it 5 wins out of 6 races. He only now has to make it through the chase and through Murray's Corner. Plunging down Conrad. Oh, it was a beautiful sight for a driver in the lead, knowing that he can cruise home from here, takes it through the kink, nice and smooth, gets it woed up for the chase. A little bit of a slide into there. Still pushing, still wanting to take it home on a high. And as he comes up to Murray's Corner, Michel Dudignon is going to take his 5th victory of the season here today. Turkula, a name we've seen quite a bit in iRacing, returns in the Lotus 49 with a podium. He started in 2nd. He started in 3rd. He's going to finish in 2nd and gets himself a nice podium. Benjamin Zoko. This has got to feel good with this being a home race for the Australian.
It certainly does. And boy, what a run for Gary Teal back here in 4th, up 4 spots to get there. The Virginia driver going to be a very happy man at the end of this one.
Brett Rial gets himself a nice haul of points, starting in 10th, finishing in 5th. 2 more points on the board for Brett Rial. Then in the last point scoring position is going to go to Bruce Nelson. Northwest
comes AJ Bear.
Ooh.
Careful.
Didn't realize how close he was.
Yeah, boy, AJ got a big run at him down the Conrad Straight. Made it exciting there coming down into Murray's corner.
Yeah, he was hustling. He wanted to try and gather as many points as he could because he's actually well up in this championship due to the win he had, sitting in 4th before this race is over. I'm not sure where this will put him after that. He'll gain on Billy Bob Wright, that's for sure, as we watch Raymond Smith. And the last of our cars on the lead lap will be Jack Ulstead. With that, we're going to go to break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. And in between that, you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Mount Panorama Circuit, where we just watched round 9 of the Lotus 49 Golden Anniversary World Cup. And up at the top, Michel Dudignan managed to show up today, and he managed to dominate once again. He took the win by a good 17, nearly 18 seconds. over Roop Turkala, who started in third and managed to move himself up one position just by keeping her smooth and steady and getting onto the podium. Benjamin Zoko as well, rounding out that podium, taking a third place. He was 40 seconds back from Michelle Dudignon at the end. That was just how far ahead Michelle was. Gary Teal finishes in fourth, with Brett Rial coming home in fifth. Bruce Nelson taking home the final point of today in sixth. AJ Bear was trying to make a recovery drive. Billy Bob Wright and he made contact early on in the braking into Murray's. AJ had to make a recovery drive, was only able to get up to seventh. Hideki Koivisto finishes in eighth. A nice run from the Finn, with Don Good coming home in ninth. And then our top 10 is rounded out by Raymond Smith.
Okay, I'll take the rest. Joe, Jack Olstad with an 11th place run. Boy, Joshua Anderson, what could have been for him. Tough break there at the end, 12th. Richard Morin, 13th. Neil Kemp, 14th. Billy Bob Wright, 15th. Marcelo Aiello, 16th. After a long period of repair there, he actually makes it back out. Michael Sullivan, 17th. Andrew Eng, 18th. We actually never even really got a chance to talk about him. And Dave Beatty, I think he had big trouble there early, Joe, and doesn't even complete the first lap. He'll finish 19th.
We have our third place finisher here, Ben Zoko, who we expect to probably be in very good spirits, having finished on the podium at a home track. And Ben, it seemed like just another case of the mountain rewarding those who keep it within the limits.
Yep, that's always the plan when you go to the mountain. Just keep it off the walls and pass the others who don't.
Now, it was grippy conditions today, although we saw Josh, who tends to come in and try and ply his trade here at the 49 at this track pretty regularly, slipping around a lot. I don't know if you were able to run behind him and notice that at all. Do you think the setup can have an effect like that, even though it's grippy, that you could be without the grip if you don't set up the car right?
Yeah, that stuff's a bit too advanced for me, but I do see that happening to a lot of drivers. And Josh was saying earlier in the week that his car was sensitive to temperature. So, yep, that's definitely something that could have happened to him.
A third place, of course, is going to give you a nice little haul of points, and it's starting to wind down, and we're seeing an incredibly close points championship all throughout the season. I know you do some help with organizing it. Do you feel proud about how this one has played out?
Yeah, it's always an exciting championship here with these guys. I'll be updating the points after this, so keep your eyes peeled to see what's going on. I had a good race, and I was a little bit disappointed because I had a little bit of pace up my sleeve, and Billy Bob was catching me, and I was looking to have a good battle with him, but I was pretty confident I was going to hold him off for the rest of the race, but something happened to him, so a bit of a shame. It's not good for him for the championship points, because I know he was in the hunt there, but looks like Michelle's going to jump ahead with increase his lead there, and I think that's the same for the nations as well, but we'll see after this.
Definitely. Now, of course, this is a home track for you, as I mentioned. How does it feel for you getting that third place and being on the podium here on the broadcast race?
Yeah, it feels real good. I qualified really well, which is a bit of a change for me. You know, I'm not the best qualifier, but tonight I managed to do real well. Outpacing people like Jack and Gary Teal feels good to me. Definitely, I'm much better at Bathurst now than I ever used to be. And it is much more of a home track for me now. I've moved out west, and I think I'm about 2 hours away from Bathurst. So it's I think maybe Josh is the closest, but I'm probably second closest here. So yeah, home track on the podium. Couldn't ask anything more.
Well, congratulations on your third, and we hope to see you next week.
Yeah, hope to be there. As I said before the start of the season, I can't always often make these races, but was glad to race tonight and get a good result. Thanks GSRC for the broadcast.
Well, thanks for talking to us. That was Benjamin Zocco, third place finisher. Brett Rial, who was just behind him in fifth, is going to be talking to Sean about his top five.
Brett, what a great race, man. You started in 10th today with the number 10 on the side of the car, and, well, you cut that down by half and finished fifth. Pretty good ride around the mountain for you today.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I mean, I don't know. I mean, tracks are always fun, but there's something about this track that just seems like work. I don't know what it is, man. But yeah, it was a good race. But I was listening to you talking to Ben, and it's kind of funny you're talking about the grippy conditions, and it's so weird. I feel so much more comfortable on this track when it's actually hot.
Well, okay, so Joe talks about grippy conditions, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, does the Lotus 49 ever really feel grippy?
No, it's really weird because I guess I'm so used to driving this car on this track when it's been, a billion degrees in the Australian sun, and we get to this week and it's, I did a couple practice sections in 67 degrees. I'm like, what the hell did I do here?
Yeah. Well, I was telling the guys in the pre-race before we went on air last night when I was practicing, it was 107 degrees on track. And so then this morning we show up and we get these nice cool conditions and overcast and cloudy. And I'm like, well, this is totally different. So, but man, again, you pick up 5 spots, which, listen, picking up spots here on the mountain, just picking up spots, period, can be a challenge. What was the key for you today?
Well, today was driving like a total wimp, because if you want to go fast here, you watched all those other guys, they're like right next to the wall. And I was not doing that at all today. I was hitting the Chianti hard last night, but
were there any fava beans involved?
No fava beans.
Okay, all right.
No, but yeah, if you want to be fast here, you've got to be, you got to be like right next to the wall on every corner, especially going up over the top. And today I was just like, nope, not doing it. Just want to get through the race. Just toot along, have fun.
Sometimes I'll do a search on YouTube and I'll look at different lap guides from different drivers. And there's one out there from a couple years ago from Mick Claridge, and it's a blinding fast lap. But if you're trying to learn how to drive this track, it's probably not a really good video to watch because his hands are all over the place. The wheel is constantly moving, and like just missing the wall by the width of a sheet of paper. It just seems so on edge. But what a great race today, Brett! To see you get up here and get in a points-paying position. You're gonna have to be pretty happy with that, and probably gonna be a good day for the rest of it for you.
Yeah, not too bad. I just want to tell Joe that I did that Lamborghini drive, and it was pretty amazing. I got to tell you, good stuff.
Oh, awesome. Joe, pop in, talk about that. I forgot all about that.
Yeah. Until he mentioned it, I forgot that we had a nice little chat about that. So what are your feelings afterwards? Are you bit by the bug? Are you going to try and do a little bit more real world racing?
Oh, I tell you, I mean, I've taken bikes on the track and stuff like that, but I got to drive the R8 and the Lamborghini Huracan or whatever you want to call it these days, because I'm ignorant. But they were amazing, and I've got a video of it coming up out of the one they call it Coyote Gulch or whatever at the Pittsburgh track, and the guy's saying floor it. I'm like, I've got it floored, and just the amount of grip that these cars have is just insane. I've never driven anything like that where you're coming out of a corner, you floor it, and it just goes, and nothing, no wiggle. Because I'm so used to the damn 49. I was actually a little bit, feathering on the throttle for the first couple laps, and he's like, "What are you doing? Just slam it." So it was an amazing experience, and if you've got the time and the money or a nice wife, I heartily recommend trying it.
Yeah, I can imagine that modern cars are feeling very, very different than what you're used to. Go ahead, Sean.
I was just going to say, darn it, I don't have the nice wife anymore, and I certainly don't have any money, so I guess I'm out. That's a shame.
Well, I mean, like I said, it was definitely a fun experience. I'd love to do it again, but it was pretty spendy. But it's definitely one of those experiences that I will never forget.
Well, hey, listen, Brett, great job today, and we appreciate the conversation, and we'll see you next week, my friend.
I hope so. Have a good weekend, guys.
All right, and that's Brett Riali with a big run today. Joe coming from 10th up to 5th place spot here And boy, what a good one on the mountain. The mountain never disappoints.
Yeah, I put on a great race today. It certainly threw up some surprises, but while Sean tries to put an application into the GSRC budget to get a Lamborghini ride, we're going to close up. And we want to thank Jack Ulstead and Ben Zoko, who do a lot to organize the championship and help bring this thing to air. And of course, thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Or you can also check us out. We're on social media, including on Twitter at GSR Channel, or we're on Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel. The next race, boy, this is just a spate of punishing courses. Montreal. You talk about another punishing place. That will be Saturday, November 18th, and 8:30 a.m. Eastern is when that will kick off. We'll also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.